Hi, I'm Kevin Eikenberry, and I'm here to help you reach your potential as a leader and a human being. Welcome to Remarkable TV and the Remarkable Leadership Podcast. If you happen to be watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future episodes. Today's episode is about another reason to ask, why we should be asking to understand. Are you ready? Let's get started. This is the last in a series of episodes related to reasons to ask. And in an earlier one, I talked about asking to learn. Today we're talking about asking to understand, which is similar, but today we're talking about how do we better understand in a conversation, in our normal everyday communications. So speaking of communications, what communication really is message sent, message received, and message understood. And asking to understand can help in all three of these phases: sending, receiving, and understanding. And so it can be used by both people, both the speaker or sender and the receiver or listener. So let's talk about how we can use asking to understand whichever side of that coin you happen to be on. Let's start with as a listener. As a listener, when we ask to understand, we can ask to clarify. We can ask to clarify. So help me understand what you're saying. Or I think what I heard you say was, is that right? We're asking to clarify, to get a sense, to make sure that we were clear about what they sent. We can use it to ask for details. Asking for details allows us to get a little more information, go a little deeper, and help us go a little further. And you could use questions like, and what else? Or can you tell me more? As ways to help us ask for details. But what about as a speaker? Well, as the speaker, we can use questions and ask for understanding too. We typically think about, well, we're sending, it's their job to figure it out, but we can actually use questions to help us ask to confirm their understanding. We can create a feedback loop so that we really are in conversation and not I'm talking, then you're talking, then I'm talking, but we're truly in a back and forth conversation. And so I can create a feedback loop. So in your words, what is our next step? Would be an example. Or summarize what we've decided. Getting them to say it helps us make sure that we're in alignment. So asking to understand. It's a great reason to ask questions and get better at asking questions. And we can do it both as a listener and as the speaker. Let me close with today's tweet. The right questions improve communication results by clarifying and confirming understanding. You might be listening on the Remarkable Leadership Podcast. If so, we're glad you are. Did you know we have a group that you could join? And maybe you've never heard of the Remarkable Leadership Podcast. Did you know that there's a group that you could join? Each of these groups, one on Facebook and one on LinkedIn, will help you stay in the know with what's coming up, who our future guests are, and even give you the chance to join us live and interact with those guests when we're doing the actual recordings. You can learn more about those groups and join us by going to remarkablepodcast.com/LinkedIn or remarkablepodcast.com/Facebook. I hope you'll do that. And I hope you'll be back here next week for another episode of Remarkable TV and the Remarkable Leadership Podcast.